going to pray for you, or I wouldn't have gotten through this without my faith. That's fine. What's not fine is to say, my God is better than your God, or here's why you're not getting into heaven. It's not going to fly. Number 3, we believe wholeheartedly if you can't control your tongue, then you can't control your life. So while on board, there's not going to be any cursing in the live chat, period. And number 4, there is no room for mean people on the lifeboat. Because we discuss very sensitive things from people's past in our group setting, we got to protect those people. The only way they feel confident and comfortable discussing those things is in an environment that is free of trolls and mean people. So if you're a mean person or you're a troll, we're going to block you for life. And if your account happens to be less than 24 hours old, we're probably a little suspicious right from the word go. Why? Well, because there are people in this world who enjoy being cruel solely for the sake of being cruel. It's not going to fly here. But if you're here because you're trying to get sober and live your best life, then you might find that the lifeboat is just that, a lifeboat. I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and we will see you on deck. People, I'm Captain Tommy Scoville, and this is the lifeboat. And you know what? They say that the third time is the charm, and I guarantee you it is, because right now, my friend Alan is sounding perfect. And you know the recap, people. For those that are just getting here for the first time, Alan played with some drugs in the beginning, but the drug of choice was methamphetamine and became an intravenous drug user. Dad finally had enough. This is at this point in his life, he had some kids, he had caused a divorce, gone through other relationships, but he's in rehab, and they're treating him through medical assisted treatment using a drug called Seroquel. And if you're not hip to Seroquel, it is a absolute knockout drug, unless, of course, as Alan mentioned in the last feed, if you try to fight it and you try to stay awake, then basically it has a very an effect like you're really drunk. But for those people that don't, it just knocks you out. And what you were saying, Alan, is that what you were looking for was sleep anyway. So you were getting knocked out by the Seroquel, correct?
Yeah, I was using we'd each at the end of the day, like during the day, we'd have to do NAs, AAs, group meetings. It was full on all day, and as it should be. But of a night time, well, all through the day, but of a night time, you'd be in the larger dose. And so then I would take it and go outside, and it's time I smoked. So I'd smoke and chat with everyone. And then once it started to hit me, I'd go, I'm going to bed. Well, what would happen is they worked out that all of them, they had a reserve amount that you could have as extra in case it didn't knock you out. So they would wait till it affected them, then stay awake and go back and say, oh, it hasn't affected me. And so they were all using it to their advantage. And I didn't see it like that. I saw it as I wanted to be clean. So I did the 3 weeks. I came out. I was good. I 70 days. I worked my recovery. I worked going to NA. I traveled 2 hours to an NA meeting, and I was working it. Then all of a sudden, one day it hooked, and that was it. And back in the life, I was leaving my hometown to go to Sydney, and I thought, well, as a goodbye present, I'll never do it again. So silly thought, but so we did it again. Well, then we moved to Sydney, and did it stop? No, it just kept on going and going, and it got worse. We moved into a place. My wife at the time had 4 children, my stepchildren. So not only did I try and support 2 drug habits, I had to try and support 4 children as well, plus my own 2. So a whole holiday time was a nightmare with 6 children. So then we did that, and then we're just falling apart. Now I was working, I was working ridiculous hours to afford it, or to try and afford it. And you can never afford it. The more money you've got, you just spend it anyway. So it doesn't matter if you work 100 hours overtime or 20, you'll still buy drugs with whatever net you've got. So it ended up badly. We got evicted from a house because I got a knock on the door, and my money that I earned went straight into my wife's account. We got a knock on the door and saying you haven't paid rent for 8 weeks, and I had no idea because I was working virtually from 6 till 7 at night. So at that time, my father came to me and said, "That's it." Well, they didn't really like the lady I was with, and they could see. By the way, when I was in rehab, she actually told my parents that I was the only one using, and she wasn't. And yeah, it was a hard thing to take, but anyway, and so they offered to set me up in a place. So they did. Well, then obviously I was by myself then, and it just got worse again. She would come to visit because we were still seeing each other, sort of thing. But then one day she just left. She cleaned me out and left. Absolutely cleaned me out. When I came home from work, my son was living with me, and I said, "Oh, where's so?" I went, "So and so gone." He said, "Oh, she's gone." I said, "What do you mean she's gone?" "No, she's left, and she cleaned you out." And I went. She took the laptops, everything. So, what does a drug addict do when a drug addict gets put under stress? He goes and buys drugs. So at the time, I was very good friends with the drug dealer. And I went back to him and he just said to me, "I can help you out." So out of the freezer, 40 grams of meth. I actually spared at the time, so it wasn't meth, so but 40 grams. So 40 bags meth. That should do you for a while. How am I going to pay for this? Don't worry about it. We'll talk about it later. He trusted me. I did. I did go to work. I need to work. I need to pay my drug debts. That was what I was known for that from this fellow because I always did it because I was scared because if you don't, there's things that can happen to you. So those 40 lasted me probably 2 weeks,
Oh,
2.5 weeks. I used and used and used to the point of impossible, I think, for anyone to use this anymore. I was a glutton, and I could just use. It was one drug I could use and use and use. I didn't wait for the high to come down. I didn't wait to use, come down, use, come down. There was a point of using, come down off the initial high, use again, come down, use again. It was all a matter of topping up. It wasn't letting it go. I didn't like that. I wanted but you're always chasing that initial first, and you'll never get it. And people who know what I'm talking about, you'll never get that. No matter how good the gear is, you'll never get it because you're just chasing something that's not attainable. So you're 40, and that was the end of it. So I went back to him and he said, "Oh, how many have you got left?" None. He just laughed at me. He said, "Okay, then here's another 40.
oh,
Yeah, no. And because I was in depression because she'd left me, I was shattered actually because I'd actually stopped taking my antidepressant 3 weeks before she left. So it was just a really bad timing. So another 40, another 3 weeks, another 40.
oh.
No word of a lie. I don't make this up. And at the end of that, obviously you could see I was a mess. But the worst part about it, when he said to me in the end, he sat me down and he said, "Do you realise how much money you owe?" And he said, "It's not a problem, but you know how much I owe." It was in the vicinity of $30,000. It's expensive here. It was $180 to $200 a bag. So 120 bags, work it out. It was, and plus I had in, it went up about 30, 25, I don't know. It was a lot of money. And I just looked, I went, obviously, why? He said, "Don't worry about it. We'll have an agreement. You pay me $1,000 a fortnight." So I did that. I had to pay that sort of money off while I'm still a drug addict. So no longer do I have that $1,000 to spend on drugs. I've got to pay this off. And if you don't pay this off, it's not going to be good. And it's not going to be good. This dealer was a frightening person, a good friend, sort of a friend, but a frightening person if angered really badly. So, and in the end, so then I was paying off using. So he'd give me some, occasionally he'd flick me one, or over time, and I'd still manage to have 3 or 4 a week. So I'd use that much that days I didn't have money, I'd just sleep. When I came home from work, I'd go to sleep. I'd sleep from 4 in the afternoon or 5 in the afternoon till 7 the next morning because my body was just physically. So at the end of the time, I was paying him off, and then I had a chance to move to WA or to Western Australia to Perth with work. I went over there for 3 months as a quality auditor, virtually for a company. So when I was over there, we found anyway one of the techs. Anyway, I had the chance to move there, and so I did. I thought, "You beauty, I need to do this. This is going to be the end of me. I need to do it." I was at the point where I'd had, I knew it was going to kill me if I didn't get off. So I went to Western Australia, and in Western Australia it was good. At the time, obviously, the last 10 years, I wasn't drinking. I didn't have enough room in my body to drink with the amount of drugs I was taking. I couldn't drink when I was high, at the level of height I was. So I went to Western Australia. My company moved me there, and I went without it for 1.5 years, 2 years. I didn't drink, didn't do drugs. I thought, this is it. Then I was friends with somebody who was good friends with another lady. She introduced me to a dealer again. and that was it again. So I got to know this dealer. It started off with $300 or $400 worth. Then it came down to every pay packet, $1,000, $1,200. By the way, this lady I knew, she had a 6 and a 9-year-old child. She was found dead one morning by her children through I'm sure through drugs, through an overdose. It was horrible, but at the time, did it stop me using? No, because you think that's not going to happen to me. I'm using meth. I'm not using heroin. I'm not using things like that. That doesn't happen. Well, she lost her life. And I remember going to her funeral and we're talking about open cut. I couldn't do it because that would be the last thing that I saw. I'd remember a guy and I couldn't do it. But she still had a 6 and a 9-year-old girl that her mother and father now had to bring up. But it didn't affect me. It did. Now it does. It didn't affect me. I was sad for the loss. I was really sad. But it didn't affect me. And that shows how cold I was, even though I didn't think I was. I thought I was emotional and I'm not, or an emotional person. I wasn't then. I was cold. I was saddened, but I should have been a mess, and I wasn't. So I continued to use in either greater amounts. I came across a lot of money. I used a third of that within 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. It's $30,000. For example, I bought a quarter ounce of meth. So I was on ice at the time, meth. It was $1,700. 8 days that lasted me. 8 days. I was just and I was smoking at that stage because I couldn't inject. There's no way I could inject because I just couldn't find often enough a usable vein.
Yeah.
So I was smoking it, and I was happy. You can be happy about using drugs. I was happy about that because I no longer had blown up hands. I no longer had bruises all down my arms. I no longer had track marks everywhere. But I was still an addict. But while I was being an addict too, the alcohol started again. So I started off when I couldn't afford the drugs, or when I ran out of money, or I was in a downer and I didn't want to use for a couple of days. I'd drink and I'd drink and I'd drink and drink. So not only was I using drugs really heavily, I was drinking really heavily too. They didn't often go hand in hand because, as I said, I couldn't use drugs to the height that I was using them and drink. I just couldn't drink it. It just wouldn't go down.
Yeah.
But on the days that I couldn't afford drugs or my pay had run out, and I never stole I stole it from parents, but I never stole things, so I just drink. And then my drug use just spiraled out of control again. And I was it got really badly. I was using $1,100 every 3 days when I had that money.
Every 3 days?
Yep.
Good Lord. How old were you at this point?
This is only a few years ago. Oh wow, 45, 47, something like that. So I was moved there 47, 48.
Wow.
I was using 1,100 every 3 days. No word of a lie. And some days I'd go on the second day because I knew I'd only had a third or 40% of a bag left, and I didn't want to run out overnight. That's how much I was using. So I'd buy another $1,100. And that was 37 points, so 3.5 grams. So and I was using a lot. And so then I had to put the rest of the money I had to put it away because I had to actually put it into a super because I knew I'd spend it. I would have spent the whole $100,000 on drugs. So I didn't. But still I'd use my pay. He'd ring me up. I'd ring him up before work. I'd leave at 4 o'clock in the morning to go and pick up. I wouldn't use it at work because I didn't want to do that. But I'd be waiting to get home. As soon as I could get home, I was home. And the first thing I did was walk to the door, go to my room, bring out my pipe and smoke it. And then I'd use all night and go to work again and come home and use. It was just a never-ending circle. It's a spiral, and it was a terrible spiral because I was probably at my worst. And then I just decided, I was thinking one day after a few years in WA, this has gone on for 2 years while I was using this heavily. And then my company said to me, well, do you want to move to Queensland? Because, we need someone there like yourself. And, okay, then we talked about it. And I thought, you know what, I've had enough. I was sitting outside one day. This stage, I'm 50. I said, that's it. I've had enough. I don't want to do this anymore. Wasn't an evaluation. as you speak of, Tommy, now that I do, no, but it was a semi-evaluation of what I wanted to be and who I wanted to be and what I didn't want to be anymore. And I wanted my daughter and my mum and dad to be proud of me. Now, I skipped the part now, and I'm sorry, but I'll go that, I used to go take my children at 9 o'clock at night to go and get drugs, put them in the car when they were 4 and 7 year old, 3 and 6 years old. I used to not do anything with them on the weekends when I had them because I was too busy satisfying my drug abuse or my drug need. That weighs heavily on you. It weighs heavily on me now. I try not, the guilt is something we'll talk about soon. But getting back to this, I wanted my daughter and my son to be proud. I wanted to look at them and say, that's my dad, and I love him, and I'm proud of him. Yes, I know he's a drug addict, or he was a drug addict, but I'm proud of him for what he's done. So I thought, no, I've had enough. That's it. I want my mum and dad to look at me and say, that's my son, and I'm proud of him. And that's about all that mattered. Plus, for me, I wanted to do it for myself. I can't just want to do it for other people. I had to do it for myself. You've got to do it. I believe you've got to do it for yourself. Those other benefits, they're great. You've got to want to do it for yourself. Otherwise, it's not going to work. And I just remember sitting there and saying, I'm tired. I'm 51 or whatever it was at the time, and I'm tired. And I'm overweight. I'm huge. I drink a lot of beer, but I use a lot of drugs.
You're good.
And this is not who I want to be. I will be dead in 3 years if I make that, the amount of drugs I'm using. I've got to stop this. You know what? That was the last time I used meth. Was it a white knuckle ride? Oh, hell yeah. I didn't know what I know now. So I'll be honest and say, yeah, it was a white knuckle ride. For the first couple of months, I had my dealer ringing me up, but he was good enough when I explained to him. He was one of those rare ones that I said, listen, I'm trying to do this, no problem. I won't bother you. No problem. I blocked him anyway, but he was good enough. But it was a white knuckle ride for the first couple of months. But then it settled down. I every time I thought about it, I thought of my daughter, I thought of my mum and dad, I thought of my past. I've got a horrendous past with what I've done to my children and my parents, what I've done to other people, the lies I've told, the things I've done that nobody would do in their right mind. And I know that.
You know what? Two things, man. I got to jump in because two things. Number one, that phrase I think is one of the best phrases in all of recovery. Nobody in their right mind would do the things that you did. And the second thing that I think that you touched on that's super important, you said you got to do this for you. And I agree with you. But, when I was getting sober, I still made that list of the whys, and you did the same thing. Because no matter how much you want to do it for you, like you said, when you thought of using, you thought of your daughter, you thought of your son, you thought of your dad. So those are the things, even though you're doing it for you, those are the things that keep you from calling the dope man, and driving to the liquor store. I'm sorry.
Exactly. At the time. Yeah, that's right. At the time, so it was in August I gave up meth, and I was still drinking really heavily and probably heavier because I didn't have so I actually replaced one drug with another, with one addiction with another. Although I was already, so I know what I did. I can look back and think, what it is what it is. I can't change it. So I gave it up, but I started drinking heavier. Over there, it didn't really affect anybody because I was by myself. My parents are over on this coast and my son and my daughter, but it still got to me. But I was drinking a dozen beers a day every day, and on the weekend, 14 to 16 every day. I was drinking 3 or 4 cartons, and our cartons are 24 bottles of beer a week. I was drinking a lot of beer. And, so when 8 months later, so I've been off the meth now for 8 months, I moved to Queensland. And when I got here, I thought, I'm not doing this anymore either. So I stopped drinking. And that wasn't a white knuckle ride. It was actually, I don't know whether, Tommy, you could know better whether it was because it was only beer, not spirits that I had a problem with. But I just said that's enough, and that's it. I finished. And so I did. I wanted my son, I wanted my daughter to look at me with love and pride. My son's a bit of a different kettle of fish than my daughter, but I know he loves me. But my daughter is something, she saw it and she knew what was going on. They both know that I'm a recovering addict and an alcoholic. And I wanted them to look at me with love and respect. And I wanted, I had to earn that. And I have. I mean, I've told you, Tommy, I've sent many messages to my daughter, and this is going to be hard, but um, I've sent her messages saying that, I apologise for not being there when you were younger. I apologise for being a terrible father. And I apologise for not showing the love that you deserved and you needed. And she replied to me, you're an amazing father. I love you with all my heart. And the past is the past and it's forgotten. So, I've talked to you about my daughter. She's an amazing, amazing young lady. And just to hear that, I still have that and I still read that because it's inspiring. My daughter could have said, no, you're an addict. I don't want anything to do with you. But she hasn't. I've apologised to my mother and father numerous times. My father won't listen to it anymore. I don't want to hear it. We've forgiven you. We've forgotten. All is good. We're very proud of you. We're very proud of where you've come. It makes it worthwhile. It doesn't make the past change. It doesn't make things you've done change or erase them at all. It's something to think of when you're in the down periods, that you have people that love you, that you have people that care, that people that have unconditional love for you, to forgive you for what you've done. And I've done some horrible things, as I've said, and have not been a father. But for people just to wipe that and say they forgive you and they love you is just an amazing feeling. And that is what drives you to stay clean, to stay sober. It's not easy. I mean, now, I'll be honest, I don't think about meth at all. I don't. I'm done. Like you said, they'll put me in a pine box, I'm sure, and I will not use again. Alcohol will be a struggle for me, I think, till the day I die, because it's just the way it is. It's so easily obtained.
Everywhere.
So, yeah, it's everywhere. As I said the other day, I was driving past, and the first time, driving past a liquor store and said, wow, I could do with a beer. And those words haven't come out of my mouth for nearly 2 years, 18 months. And you've got to pull back when something like that happens. And well, wow, hang on a minute. This is my sobriety's threatened here. I'm relapsing, and I was. You need to know that. You need to understand that. Through this channel, through yourself, through your videos, I knew that I was in relapse. Whether I didn't drink, but I knew that if I don't stop this right now, this is going to happen. And I have worked too bloody hard for this. And everyone that's in recovery has worked too hard for this. So I needed to stand back, evaluate where I was, what is causing this. And there are a few things that were causing it, that I thought may have been causing it. So I had to step back from everything. And, I love this channel. I love this with my whole heart. But I had to step back from the chat because it was just, I think I was just worrying about other people too much and thinking about other people. And I wasn't thinking about myself and working my recovery as I should do. You've got to do it, and then obviously, there's a lot of stories in between that. My mother and father didn't drink, as I said. My uncle was a drunk. I've mentioned this before, and I'll mention it again because I think it's important. But I laid in their bath when I can't remember. It's a vivid memory, but I can't remember what age it was. So 12 to 13, 11 to 13. I remember hearing my auntie bouncing off the walls, with my uncle flogging the hell out of him. When I was 12 years old. How I've never been so scared in my life. I could hear her bouncing off the walls, my uncle hitting her. It was frightening. And this is an uncle I looked up to. This is an uncle that I loved, my auntie that I loved. And he was flogging her off the walls. Not once. This didn't happen just once. It's time, through alcohol, through him being drunk. This has got to stop. So I didn't want to turn into this. This is what I saw when I was younger. I didn't want to turn into this. I wasn't a violent person. I'm not a violent person, but violence is just one aspect of being drunk or on drugs. It's other things, your lack of care, your empathy, it's not the person I want to be. So anyway, now back to start. Then I thought when I got here, I was 143 kilos. And I thought, you know what? I didn't think I was as big as I was. until I saw a photo recently, which I think I shared to the group.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I thought, no, I stopped drinking. So I stopped, and I did. And when I weighed myself next, it was probably, I don't know how long later, maybe 6 months later, I was 15 kilos lighter. And I thought, well, I can do this. So I made a conscious effort. And so to do this, it's not easy. There's no secret formula. There's no magic bullet, so to speak. It's. I treat it as an addiction, and it is for me. Food is an addiction. I treat it exactly the same as meth. I treat it exactly the same as beer, alcohol. You've got to work at it. It's no secret. You've got to work at it. You've got to be committed. And please, I'm not trying to be a big head or trying to blow my own trumpet. That's not what it's about. It's about trying to explain how I treat it. It's an addiction. Food is an addiction for me, and it will take me back again if I let it. I can't. So I started, and I thought, well, I'll start. And I started slowly. I'll just reduce what I eat slowly, just for 6 months, and see how I go. And then I cut out a lot of sugar, not all of it, bit of it. Reduced what I eat. Okay, I went down another 8 or 9 kilos. Well, hang on, I can do this. So I cut down more of what I eat. I don't eat
Just
breakfast.
quickly, 145 kilos. You were looking at like 300 pounds, correct?
315 pounds.
315. Okay.
Yep. And I'm 6
for those
foot.
of us
So
in the States.
And then I went down. I thought I can do this. So I started looking at diets a bit better, a bit harder, and what I could eat. Not to starve myself, but just you've got to tune your body. You can't go from eating, say, 3 pizzas a day to half a pizza in one go. You'll fail. It's not what it's about. It's about getting your body used to what you're eating. So I cut down a lot of sugar. I stopped eating sweets virtually full time. I stopped eating fried foods. So I don't know what you have there, Kentucky Fried Chicken, things like that.
Yeah.
I stopped eating that. Any takeaway foods, I stopped eating that, and tried to eat as healthy as I could, but reduce the amounts. And then I got down to, I think when I showed you a photo, Tom was about 110 kilos, and I showed it with my son. Okay, and that was 33 kilos, but I wasn't happy. I still wasn't happy. So I started searching, and I found a fellow on the net. You can look him up. He's called Ken Berry. So he talks a lot about ketovore and carnivore diets. Carnivore is not really for me, and I love meat, but I need vegetables. And so I started looking at low-carb diets. So from then on, that's what I've done. And I don't eat bread. I don't eat rice. I don't eat pasta. I don't eat potatoes. I eat no added carbs, but there's as little added carbs as I can in my diet. Do I miss them? Yeah, but not much. I can used to it now. It doesn't worry me. Doing it long enough now. It doesn't bother me. And I love fries, I think you call them. Hot chips with fries. I love them. Absolutely love them. I just can't have them. It's simple as that. You just got to, some things you just got to be, you can't have them. Simple as that. If you want, how badly do you want it? How badly do you want to stop drinking? How badly do you want to stop drugging? How badly do you want to lose weight? It's all about that. If you want it, you'll do it. It's not about starving yourself. It's about eating what you think will work for you. So I've been doing that for a while now, and it's pretty much falling off me at the moment. Intermittent fasting is a huge part, as you mentioned. And you were the one, before I got onto Berry, who virtually sold me on that when you talked about it when you first started with your weight loss. And I thought, I can do this. And at the time, 12, 15 hours was, I thought my stomach was going to cave in. But now it's not. I often do, not often, probably a couple of times a week, do 24 hours, and most times between 20 and 24 every day.
No.
I don't miss it at all. I'm not hungry. People say, starving. I'm not hungry. As of yesterday, I was 92.4 kilos. So I'm 203.7 pounds. I get 707 pounds. So I've lost 112 pounds, I think. I'm 3.7 pounds off my goal. I will get there.
No question.
I'm not being big-headed. I'm not going to say I will get there. I've worked too damn hard for this, not to get there. I will get there, and I'll get below. My goal when I want to be below 200 pounds. I'll get there. I'm 92.4, so 203.7 pounds now. So I've got 3.8 pounds to go, because Tommy will be the first one to get the photo when I'll revert my scales to pounds when it's 199 point something, I can tell you. It's not hard. Exercise hasn't been a huge part of it, to be honest. I do go for walks, but it's mainly diet. No sugar. at all. No sugar. You can't eat sugar. I find it not that bad. It's hard to start with because I like chocolate bars, I like ice cream, I like cakes, I like things like that. You just can't do it. It just depends on how badly you want this.
And
It's
as
only a
far
little bit.
as and as far as bragging or beating your own drum, it's one of the things that frustrates me the most about you. I've shared this with people I don't know how many times. The truth is you don't take enough victory laps. So I'm glad that you're at least having the opportunity to to talk about this. But the one thing that jumps out at me, and this is something that we've talked about before on the channel, and you're the living embodiment of this. People, when you nail out the first of the addictions in your life, the second one is easier. I promise you. This is why I say to people,
Yep.
if you're if you're an alcoholic and you smoke, don't try quitting both of them at the same time. Honestly, it doesn't make any sense to me. Get rid of one of them, because each one of those incremental steps that you get to, by the time you would beat meth and alcohol, there's no doubt in my mind that you're going to lose whatever you're trying to lose, because you've already proven to yourself that you can beat whatever addiction is on your back. And once you
Yeah.
kick those monkeys off, but to me, this is the moral of this story. The takeaway from this, that and the fact that you own your past. I mean, you can,
Yeah.
when you sit and you talk about it, it's really evident that although you live in the present and you're not spending a lot of time looking back through the rearview mirror, you're not BSing yourself either. You're
No.
familiar with it.
No, it's if you want it, you can do it. You don't have to go to the extremes. I don't call them extremes. So I don't call it a diet. As I said this to Tommy before when we've chatted, it's not a diet. It's a lifestyle change to me. It's a lifestyle I want to live. It's not a. If you call it a diet, you're going to fail. I'm sorry, but you are, because diets are fads. You've got to live the life. And no, do I want a cake every now and then? Yeah, of course I do, but I don't. People say you can have a cheat day. I don't, because I don't feel the need. I don't feel the want. I just don't want to do it. I'm dedicated to, like anything, I do to excess. So I've got a goal to reach, so I'm going to get it. And nothing will stop me. I can tell you, I will reach this goal. I'm that close. After 20 months, 21 months now, I've lost, just actually yesterday was just top the 50 kilo marks. So another mini sort of goal. But I've got a goal to reach, and I won't stop doing it. I've got my parents who are right behind me, who are so proud of me. And that is just an endorphin rush in itself, because
Yeah.
there's so many times where I know they've been so disappointed in, and they would never say that to me, but I know because of my drug use, because of my alcohol use, but now I know they're so proud of me. My daughter is so proud of me. I saw her yesterday morning. Dad, she wants me to know more. When I was, no, I've got this to lose. She just says, no more. And I said, no, I've got to lose a bit more yet. And my son, well, he's a bit different. And unfortunately, he's inherited my genes. I think he's going to have a problem with alcohol. But listen, I can only advise. He's 30 years old now, but I think it will be if he doesn't stop soon. So I'm not looking forward to that, but I'll be there for him to support him. That's what I'm here for. I missed out his younger years, and I'm not going to, I'll always be there for him no matter what. But the diet so there is no secret. It's perseverance. It's 20 months, 50 kilos, 21 months, 50 kilos. So it has come off really quickly, but the low carb part of it, it's actually fallen off me really, really quickly. Like I think I lost 2.5 kilos in 2 weeks, which is 5.5 pounds. I mean, I'm eating the same as I was 4 months ago, but it's just choosing still to lose weight on it. So it'll stop eventually. It'll calm down. When it comes down, so be it. I'm not going to stress if I lose 0.1 of a kilo. It's not about that. It's about your life changing, your health benefits. Let's talk about that. Okay, so I was diabetic. I was type 2 diabetic. Now my HSAB, what do I get confused all the time with that? My sugar, is just below 6, just below 6. So non-diabetic or pre-diabetic is what they call it. So I'm on no diabetic medication at all. My cholesterol was 8.7. It's now 3.8. So my blood pressure was 160 odd over I don't know, a 90 or something like that. It's now 120 over 70.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, so it's just not, it's your life. It's a whole life, How long do you want to be here for? I want to be here a lot. I spent too many years drugged out of my brain and drunk, that I want to see more of my life. I want to see more of it. It's just a choice I've made. And like treat the food like an addiction. If you've done it, do it again. You can do it. Everyone on this, I know a lot of people on this boat. I love every single one of them. I've got some really good friends on here that, I love with all my heart. I know they could do it if they want to do it. It's just a matter of dedication. And I'm here for anybody. I mean, people can contact me. I know I'm on the other side of the world, and you may have closer friends, but I'm always here. If you want help, if you want just an ear, I'm here. I'll be here to the death of this boat. It means the world to me. People are here. I mean, I have Fiona here. I have Joanna, Chris. I can't name all of them because I don't want to offend everybody. I've got Hermie on there. I mean, Cindy, God bless her soul, she'll be missed, and I love her. And God bless her. Jackson, all of them. I can't name everyone. Please don't get upset with me if I don't name you, because it's just
there's 2,000 of them.
mean,
We're not going to hold you. We're not going to hold it against you.
I mean, I
27
haven't spoken to Niall personally, but Niall I have the utmost respect and admiration for. The seventh son, Steve, another one. So that's all I can think of on the top of the head. So please don't get annoyed at me. You all mean a lot to me, But there's one person, obviously, if I can say this without breaking down, that means the world to me, and always will, and always has done since one day on a live stream that he asked this funny question is, what is the meaning of life? I don't know if you remember that. It was and I think I was young, and I said Hitchhiker's Guide. Exactly. It's 42, isn't it, Tommy?
42.
And ever since then, I thought this place got something that, I was just out there. And then then I just got closer and closer. And you mean the absolute world to me, and I love you. I love you like a brother. And you just have no idea how many times you've saved me. You've helped me. You say I help you, but wow, just being there. You've always been there for me, and I love you with all my heart. I really do.
I promise you, I always will be. I get I get a lot out of this relationship. And you know what? You said you said you're going to be going with this lifestyle until the end, and then you said, God bless. And one of the things that I know you and I have talked about is that there was the separation from God. That's part of and the people. If you don't believe in God, that's great. I mean, I never look down my snout at anybody that believes anything. But for those of us who do have a belief in God, nothing will get you further away from God than drugs. And I know that that you experienced that as well.
It did. I was brought up in a Catholic family. We went to church every Sunday. We weren't there, but we went to church every Sunday. And then I think my father got lost interest with the Irish sermons, Irish priests, because we had still Irish monsignors in, and they were hard to deal with. I was an altar boy too for a long time, and then we just lost out, just forgotten. And then drugs. The last thing on my mind was religion. And then again, through somebody I saw, Rhett, Grizzly Heat, who was just an amazing person again, and his faith is unbelievable. I saw yourself, unbelievable. A lot of people, and Mark, that their faith is just shining light. And I thought, well, wait, I'm missing something in my life. I'm missing something, and maybe it's that. Well, it was. I don't profess to be the greatest Christian there, but I'm learning. It's been a long time, but I've been back into the faith for Tommy, 5 months, 5 months. I don't know.
Months.
Yeah. I pray every day. I pray multiple times a day. I pray for everybody in the boat. I pray for everyone. I pray for Tommy. I pray for everyone. When I drive to work in the morning after I get my coffee, I pray every morning. At night before I go to bed, I pray. If I get a chance during the day, I pray. It means the world to me. It really does. And it has helped me. I've sent Tommy messages. This happened to me today, but when I went away and prayed, when I came back, I'd fix something. I've sent you messages with that, and just God is great. I believe it. Other people have. I don't. It doesn't bother me what you believe in.
Yeah.
For me, it's a big part of myself now. I really believe that as a Christian, I'm going to grow, and I want to grow, and it's exciting because I've only seen a little bit of what happens, and it's really exciting because I know there's more to come.
That's awesome.
And I love it. And you've been a big part of that as well. And I mean, I've asked for help. I said to you, I think it's about time that I think I'm finding my faith again. And you didn't. There's no pushing involved. You just said, "Wow, that's awesome, man." And you helped me. There's no pushing involved. You were just there when I needed advice. And it's great. I couldn't do without my faith now. I really need it. It's a big part of my day now, and it helps me in my sobriety as well. I pray to God. I don't pray for miracles. I pray for guidance. So I
Yeah.
pray for help. I don't, I know God has given us. I'm sorry if people get annoyed by the religious, but I'm going to say, God has given us tools to help us do this, and you've got to use those tools. Use what's available to you. Use Tommy. Use people on the boat. Use Mark. Use all the people that are recovering addicts to help you. If you're like, I know Jesse does. Jesse's on Jesse. Oh, sorry, Jesse, brother, I forgot about you. Terrible. But he posts some wonderful things in the Facebook group, and he's a bloke that's he's just an amazing man. And so you've got to use those tools. Use the people that we have to help you. And I know that if you're feeling down, send me a message. Send somebody a message. Just don't let it get to that point that it's going to break your sobriety. You're already on the slope thinking about it, so stop it. Once you realise, just stop it. Send somebody a message. Doesn't matter. We're all here to help. That's what this boat's about. It's about a family. We are a family, and we're really a loving family and a helpful family. And I think that we have enough people here, enough experience here to do this to help people in the future. And that's what we're about. This is what you started this challenge to help people, and we can all help each other, and we're all available to do that. There's so many people in here that are such good people. We're all good people. 2,080 of us, or whatever there is.
Hmm. Boy, am I
so
glad that we restarted this thing a third time.
Yeah.
Stay sober and stable, says the Swiss vape. Yeah, you know what? I can't thank you enough for coming on here. I can't thank you enough for your honesty. I know that you know what? When you see somebody go through their past and talk about their drug use, when it puts a lump in someone's throat, it's usually a pretty good sign. When it puts a lump in mine, it really is a good sign. And there were so many times during your story that I was fighting it back, because I think that anybody that comes out of the other side, we've talked about it being a forest, we've talked about it being a dark place, but for anybody that pops out of that, the two phenomenon that just seems to happen to everybody is the overwhelming sense that we dodged a huge bullet. You know what I mean? Like you said, you'd be dead if it wasn't, for the changes you made. And the other thing is that you just have a desire to go back to the edge of that forest and look for anybody that needs help. And I think that I'm not making this up to make you feel good. And I'm not, I've said this many times on the boat before, but boy, if ever there was a doubt about the fact that people can be used in certain ways by God, or you want to call it the universe, you want to call it whatever, but if you knew how many times people that I have been just ready to blow a gasket, or ready to just say, you know what, I'm not doing a show tonight, I can't take this, I'm not answering anymore, and Alan will pop up. And I mean, it happens like every time. Like
annoying
I'm
Aussie
not even
again.
kidding. At one point I said to somebody, you know what, with the day I'm having, I'm gonna get an email or a text from Alan. And I mean, within 2 minutes of me saying it came across, and it just, the whole family thing here, it really, and I'm not bragging about the boat. I'm bragging about the people on the boat. I hope you guys get that. This isn't about me, and it's not about Mark, but the group of people that showed up here, and you've been here from the very beginning. I'm so happy that you came on here and did this. I feel blessed, and I know that this is going to reach a lot of people. Absolutely.
They can't hear. Now they can hear me. Can I say something, Captain? I'm just kidding.
Absolutely.
I just want to read a comment from earlier, because it's really exactly what we're talking about. Body and Soul said, "I've been listening. Great story. Appreciate it very much. Her son's has been fighting recovery, alcohol, and all that. So she was telling you thanks for being able to share. And that's, I mean, when people start saying that kind of stuff, that's when you're helping. Just the simple fact you're willing to share, it helps. And I know that sounds so cliche, but it really does, guys. I mean, I can't even, I don't even know how to say it really, but it really does. It's one of those things, guys, that don't be afraid to share, because you will help somebody. I promise.
Question, right? There's another couple of comments here. Space Jesus says, we need more of these live interviews. This is good stuff right here. And Stacey Meadows says, such an amazing story. Love the things we go through. I'm sorry, the things we go through if we are blessed to come through. You know what? The number of people that get touched by these interviews, people, I promise you, if it were up to Mark and I, we would do one of these every single day. But,
exactly.
Right, Mark, I mean, back me up on this.
Yeah.
If we could do 365 of these a year, people, I would shut up. But it takes and you can attest to this, Alan. This is something that isn't easy.
Just doesn't appear, does it?
Yeah. It's hard when you don't see it. You're talking to a computer screen. And that's why it's so powerful when, like, we get the chance to put your face there. That's why when we were restarting, we know that this really helps people, and we didn't want anybody to miss it. We didn't want anybody missing your face, honestly. I mean, that's really how it was, because, it helped.
I've got to say thanks, Mark. I mean, you put in a lot of effort. Yeah, I did. You put a lot of effort, but until I've seen it now, I didn't realise how much. Just thank you, all of my heart. Thank you. And
well, thank you.
before I say, I forgot Kiss Chris. I love you, brother. And how dare I forget you?
There are so many people here. This is one of the reasons that I try to never say it too often.
No.
Please there's some people. If anything came out from tonight, I'm glad that you had the opportunity to see that, because one of the things that I'll say about Mark is that I'm always right here in front of the camera. And today, for those of you who have never done one of these interviews, we can hear Mark, right? Mark can talk in our ears while we're doing this. You people don't hear him. And Mark was jumping through hoops and putting out fires and trying to figure out everything that was going on. And I probably don't say thanks often enough, because I just sort of get to sit in front of it. But if something came out tonight, I think that there was definitely a lot of effort. And Alan, you were a prince, because these things are nerve-wracking, and we know that. We know to come out and tell your story isn't easy. When we ask you to do it 3 times, it's probably a little bit more trial.
I know. I forgot Charlie too. Forgive me, Charlie. I love you too, brother. And Arizona and all that. Oh, too many. Sorry. Yeah.
Right.
Yep. Yeah. I can't thank everybody. I'm sorry. I hope I don't upset anyone, but Charlie's probably one of the loveliest people we'll ever meet. So how could I have forgotten him?
You didn't forget anyone. That's the thing is that, and we've got you on the spot. People, if you've never sat in this chair, ask Derek, ask Journey or any of the other people that did it. It's a difficult thing. Even to do a video, period, people, is something that you got to get used to doing. But it's one thing to do a video if you're just coming on and talking or whatever. But to open up and talk about your past, I promise you, people, we would love to do one of these a day. And if you feel on your heart after watching this that you'd like to tell your story, you're never going to hear us tell you no. We would like to get.
Yeah. My word.
No question.
My word. Yeah. Yeah. Good idea.
And since we're now under the 5-minute mark, go ahead and have your Vegemite moment, because they're screaming about it in the comment section. So
I don't know what you're talking about.
Get that foul Vegemite out of your system.
I don't know. I don't know. You've got to love it. It's just listen. You can't eat it by the spoon. You can. People do, but it's not meant to be done like that. So if people are doing that, say, "Oh, it's foul." Well, yeah, it's going to be. Just have it on toast with butter. I can't eat bread, but have it on toast with butter, crackers with butter, whatever. Cheese and Vegemite's nice. Even Vegemite and tomato on toast. Try that. Really nice.
Now, and people, this will tell you just how much I love this man, right?
There's
Ever heard me allow anybody
place
to talk about Vegemite on this channel? I ought to let you know just how much this man means to me. And on that note,
yeah. Right, we'll finish it then. No worries.
Hold on. As promised, because this cat made it through 3 takes. Huh? All right.
Did well.
Good girl. Cat in the basket. People, please do me a favor and share this video with everybody you know. This is where we do our best work on the lifeboat. It's not what me and Mark do, but it's when we do things like this. These are the videos that reach people, and our goal is to reach people. Our goal is to help as many people as we possibly can, and this was a great interview. Thank you so much, my brother, and thank you so much, my brother, for all the effort you put in as well, because this was not
Thanks,
easy.
Tommy.
Yeah, this was great. People, between now and tomorrow night, when I do this again without anyone from Australia, you have but one assignment. I want you to reach out and try to save somebody, because it's what we do. And occasionally it works really, really well, right? We're proud of you, Alan, and I will continue to scream that from the hilltops, because
I love you all. Thank you.
On a day-to-day basis, I'm so proud to be your friend. You know, you come so far, so fast. It's just amazing. All righty, people. So between now and then, you know what to do. Do it. I am Captain Tommy Scoville. On the other side of the glass,
Mark Wages.
all right, and my friend Alan as well. Love you guys. Have a good night, people. God bless.